Let it roll. All right, I'd like to open this Public Utilities Commission meeting for Monday, March 19th, 2018. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business is public input, and I don't see you're on the agenda, right, Mr. Tedeschi? Okay. All right, so we'll skip that. Correspondence, nothing late breaking. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on the minutes to accept the minutes of the regular meeting of March 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, comments, corrections?
None.
I did have, I'm sorry, two minor corrections. Go to page 2.
Two.
Under Director's Report, that first bullet,
Yep.
last sentence, I want to just clarify, there may be some cost savings. I didn't want to promise, because I don't have his quote back yet. I just want to change that will to a may.
Okay. All right. So noted. Any other changes, corrections? Hearing none, those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Nope. Okay, we're good. Moving on to financials. Bob?
Okay, I handed out a few minutes ago the financial report for February 28th. You can see on the summary sheet with a comparison to December, because we didn't do anything back in January. There's been an increase in the collection, so there's the revenue has gone up. In the water department, the loss went from 319 down to 162, and the surplus in the sewer department went from 77 to 575. Pages 1 and 9 have the summaries of those two departments. One is the water department, and 9 is the sewer department. But I just want to point out the big items that are in there. On page 2, you see contracted services, 57,000. That's D'Amato Construction down at the bottom for 53,000, and Right Pierce for 5,000. And then moving on to page 4, 928,000 in contracted services. That's detailed on pages 6, 7, and 8. The big ones are really at the end. There's one big one on the top that's Burns Construction for 102. But then you get into Zanellius for 654. And Right Piece is there for 147.5. And then later on, when you get into the sewer department, the big item in the sewer department is 2 payments we've made so far to the city of Danbury for $589,000. And that's basically half the amount that we owe them for the current year's use of their processing plant. On page 12, there's details of that contracted services for the sewer department, and it's detailed on 14. Big item is JWC Environmental, and the others are, you've got Colas for 40,000, and then you've got Weston Sampson for about 11,000. So that's the breakdown there. And that's about it.
Question on the water department. So we've got a lot of capital expenses that are going to be transferred at some point over to the DPH loans, right? So are we still in good shape in terms of rates and revenue?
Yeah, we're fine with that. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Well, Tom and I spoke the other day about the upcoming budget.
Yeah.
So we'll start to prepare that after the big budget, the operating budget is complete. And we'll look at, what's in the rate structure and whether or not that's going forward for the next couple of years that I think we're fine right now.
Okay.
I think there were some items in there, Tom noticed, right, that the total expenditures were a little less than what we.
Yeah, the rate study listed a bunch of capital improvements that I want to go backwards now and look at what we actually spent on some of those projects in the last couple of years.
Okay.
And just plug those numbers in. They seem to be less than what was in the rate study,
Yeah.
Okay.
which would leave us, in a better
In
position
the
cash-wise.
plus, yeah.
All right.
That's it.
So, Bob, real quick, you said the payment to the city of Danbury represents half a year?
2 payments, yeah.
That's 2 quarters? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to accept the financial report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Questions for Bob? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that carries. Item number 2 under financials, invoices. So to get this rolling, I'll put a motion on the floor to approve invoices for PUC approval dated March 19, 2018, in the amount of $54,790.42. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so, so we got Briarcliff and Weston and Sampson on the I&I. So, any questions on these? Okay. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve. Those in favor? Aye. That carries. And Tom, Director's Report, you're up.
Okay, a couple of things. On the Chestnut Ridge water tank, the property owner did get back to me. He did express interest in working with us on a potential water storage tank on that property, which is good. I think that's what we've been looking for. That was our first choice property for a storage tank. So I was recommending PUC to authorize us to initially, or to authorize formal negotiations to purchase the property
Okay.
in order to construct a water tank. There's gonna be multiple steps involved. We're gonna need, in no specific order, we're gonna need P&Z approval. We're gonna need Board of Selectmen, we're gonna need Board of Finance. We're gonna need some sort of an agreement with the property owner in terms of conditions of purchase and appraisal and so on.
Okay. Marty, is this, at this stage, just a vote to authorize negotiations to begin?
Sure.
Okay. All right, then I'll make that motion to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to begin negotiations with property owner in reference to the proposed Chestnut Ridge water tank. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No, hearing none. Those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, did somebody have a question?
No, just
Okay.
said it was good news.
Yeah, all right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. All right, what else you got?
Okay, we have a deep Department of Environmental and Energy general permit for the discharge of water treatment wastewaters. This is probably back to 1995. They are phasing out that general permit program and they've replaced it with 2 other general permits. We're gonna need to get one of those 2 permits, called the comprehensive general permit. It's basically gonna be, recycling the existing permit that we have through their new application process and of course, a new fee involved.
Mhm.
They also are requiring that these permits be prepared by a qualified consultant, if you will. So I was going to go ahead and authorize Wright Pierce and Marius to take a look at that for us, since they're familiar with our process and our plans, and get that going. It's March 29th, which is when this permit is gonna get phased out, and we have until June 30th in order to get the new permit registered.
Okay.
What's the fee?
They typically have a 50% reduction for municipals. It's gonna be on the order of probably $350. The study itself is, I think your proposal is on the order of about $6,500. We have the two sites, and we also now need to add the well site.
Okay. All right.
Other operational things, our watershed report's been submitted to the health department, and we have a couple other regulatory requirements. We need to do our dam inspections this year for Chestnut Ridge and Eureka, and we also need to do our annual clear well inspection of the tanks up at Chestnut Ridge. So we'll be working on getting those done in the next couple of months. Another new item, I'm drafting a water main extension policy. I noticed our rules and regs reference a policy, but I've not seen a policy anywhere in terms of how we extend water mains.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a good idea if we put something together that allow us to handle things in a uniform and a consistent manner.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and draft something up. I'll have something ready in the future here, possibly the next meeting.
Okay. Right.
And lastly, we met with the deep staff, and the grant application for the I&I study supposedly is going to be finalized and ready to be sent back to me for signatures.
Mhm.
We've already approved it, and now it's a matter of getting them from deep, getting them signed, and getting them returned.
Mhm.
So hopefully I'm going to see those this week.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
all right. Any questions, guys?
I have one question. Did we need to do a motion for him to authorize to handle right care to do that, or I don't just wanna make sure we don't need a motion to say it's okay for right care to handle that case?
On that
To-
on the
general
permit.
To do
The
the
general
six-
permit?
Yeah, 'cause we didn't do a motion, I just didn't know if there was anyone needed, or if you're just saying it's okay for him to handle it internally or administratively.
I assumed it was an operational thing that, because you can't,
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah, not, Marty, but that's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up. Do you concur, Marty?
Well, they may not want to do it. What happens if they don't want to do it?
Right.
So,
Okay, well, that would normally fall within an operational guideline, so we'll just,
Just do it,
yeah.
okay, administratively. Got it.
Yep, administratively. All right, that sounds good. All right, thank you. New business. Oh, I'm sorry.
Tom had brought up that, if we could move Weston Sampson up,
Oh, sure.
first and that way. Earlier.
Is that item number 2?
Yeah.
Sewer capital. Do you guys mind? We will go to item number 2? Okay, so we'll do new business item number 2. And,
And what I did here was I passed out the capital improvement plan that Weston and Sampson
Which-
did for us at the last meeting.
yes,
And I wanted to get to you in advance so you'd have a chance to look at it. And my plan then was to have Bob from Weston and Sampson come in at this meeting and just give us a presentation on it. We can have any discussion and possibly a motion to accept it.
okay. Yeah, this was in the packet. Any changes from what we sent out?
No, I handed out a hard copy
Yeah,
this afternoon as well.
Yeah, there was one minor change on it from what you had gotten from 2 weeks ago. If you look at the very last couple of pages, a table 11 was added, and that was to basically outline the annual program going forward. In other words, not doing all 15 sub-areas as part of the capital plan, but to limit it to the main area that has the I&I issues, which is the Paul Street area.
yeah.
Obviously, we can expand on that and go forward with additional study areas, but that seemed to be the better area to focus on initially.
Okay.
I also believe table 1 was changed too.
Yes.
What was the change there?
We added flows for 2017. The previous version
Oh, yes,
had,
thank you, Marty.
had just 2016 flows.
Oh, okay.
Just to start showing trends. We have 2016 flow, we added 2017, and as you move forward, add 2018, and so on and so forth.
Interesting.
So, I guess I could walk you through the report. The report summarizes the II analysis that was done. It was, 4-inch document with all the appendices. This is, in essence, the action plan. It starts off, like I said, table 1 was outlines your flows to Danbury. The document, as you've gone through, it describes your collection system. It describes the analysis that was done to find infiltration and inflow. It prioritizes the areas, and it lists some of the specific defects that were found as part of the analysis that were done.
Mm-hmm.
And then the meat of it is the page 19 and 20, which is pages 11 and figure 2 next to it. The prior page 10, lists all your sub-areas, and you put costs associated with doing an investigation and an estimated construction cost to rehabilitation per sub-area. And then, as Tom mentioned, we met last month, and we added table 11 to narrow it down just to the Paul Street area, because that is Paul Street service area. That is the area. It's your oldest system. It's the southern part of the collection system. that where, it's where the infiltration inflow was more prominent. The northern, the Stony Hill, that's relatively new piping, and a lot of new PVC piping, 80, 100,000 feet of piping that was run in the last 10, 15 years. So that's new in this industry. So we met with Deep last week. We went over this capital improvement plan. And they seem, they liked it, they liked the idea. The next steps, we've put pricing for the first phase, and we discussed that with Deep as well. So the next step would be to do an investigation where we do CCTV of, say, sub-area 9, which is the very first sub-area. Flow isolation monitoring, where you're looking specifically pipe by pipe, where are the leaks, and manhole inspection, all in sub-area 9. And we have detailed pricing to do that. That would fall under the Deep's planning grant of the Clean Water Fund, same as the analysis. So it'll be a 55-45 grant.
55 by who?
55% grant by the state, 45
By the town.
similar to the II study. Just this investigative portion of it. So again, this is an action plan to do basically a condition assessment of your collection system, also to investigate where you have infiltration inflow, find out exactly where pipe by pipe are the leaks. Right now we know which sub-area. We've concentrated it to the southern part of the town. So the next step would be to apply to the Deep for another planning grant to do the investigation portion of it. And their program is a first come, first serve. So we would submit an agreement to do that, and then we would submit an application just like we did before, and they approve it. And we would move forward. On the construction side, that money is loan only at this time. If you wanted to pursue that, they mentioned a 20% grant, but very few people get that 20% grant on the construction side. So this is still on the planning grant money, and then the end result of that would be you have a condition assessment of your collection system. You'll know which pipes are leaking. What would it cost to fix each one of those pipes on a pipe by pipe basis, manhole by manhole basis? So that would be your plan, and then you could move into fixing those. And we were thinking, at the end of the Deep meeting, we were thinking of possibly looking at 9, 12, and 15, combining that planning grant if there's economies of scale involved. For example, the initial, what's written there is an annual program. But if there's some economies to do the assessment of the first 3, say, let's look at that before you submit the planning grant.
So basically, your proposal then would be, the cost breakdown would be found on page 18, correct? So what we need to do tonight is to authorize step 1 in the amount of $510,000, correct?
No.
Nope.
That includes construction.
Oh, that includes construction, okay.
So what we would want to move forward with tonight would be consideration of moving forward with submitting a planning grant.
Applying for a planning grant.
Applying for a planning grant in an amount, we're still going to calculate that amount. And we'll report next week, or next 2 weeks, what that is. Like I said, we have a number for sub-area 9, it's 125,000.
What page is that on?
What page
That
is
is
that?
not included.
Well, it's page 18, it's also page 19, so, page 18 is all 15 sub-areas.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, if you flip to page 19, those first 7 are basically the first 7 from page 18.
right.
So those numbers are the numbers on both pages. That number, for instance, for that first year, 510,000, that would be evaluation, design, and construction.
Correct. That would be investigate, the whole condition assessment, design bid packages, and then an estimate for finding the, fixing those lining pipes, lining manholes, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Fixing covers.
And the evaluation portion of that is what is eligible for the grant.
Correct.
At 55% grant.
Right.
And that would it be roughly about 25% of that number would be the evaluation part?
That's a ballpark.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
So in that first year of 510,
Yeah, explain it.
about 25% of that, 1/4 of that would be the evaluation,
125,000.
that which we'd be eligible for, 55% of that money would be eligible for a grant.
So how did you come up with the $510,000?
Yeah.
So, we've done a bunch of these type of projects, and it's based on the linear feet in that sub-area. For this type of system, we $20 per linear foot is a good budget number. Not knowing anything else about the system other than pipe diameters and lengths. This type of system, it's about $20 per linear foot to do an investigation, design the fixes that we find, and to line and rehab the pipe in this type of system. Now, if you find that your entire system has to be replaced, which is not the case, obviously that number goes out, or your system is pristine, it does not need any work, so that's not, it's more on the, a couple dollars a foot. So, well, on this type of community, this type of collection system, in the ones that we've done, it's somewhere around $20 a foot.
So you've taken into account the age of the system
The age
in
of the
that
system,
estimate?
Yep,
And
exactly.
then $20 is the age of the system?
Correct. The age of the system, the type of, the size, there's a lot of 8-inch pipe here. So if this system was all 48-inch pipe, a big, it would be different.
I'm looking at this as nothing but a big giant swag.
What was that word, a what?
Swag,
Silly wild ass, yes, exactly.
right.
It's based on.
Scientific.
So you're starting out with 510,000, and 1/4 of that is design, right? And of that is 55% of that is reimbursable by the state. So really out of 510,000, unless my numbers are wrong, basically, we only get $70,125 out of that 510. So the balance is really picked up by the town.
Right. And on that 125,
Yeah,
the, that's based on pricing from CCTV folks, pricing from the folks that would do the isolation flow monitoring, and pricing from people that do manhole inspection. Estimates of our time to evaluate that. So that is a relatively hard number, at 125. And it turns out to be about a quarter of it. And, yeah, you can't know what the construction cost is until you know what the problem is. So you have to move forward with a budget of what. Yeah.
Okay.
And the balance then would be eligible for some clean water loans.
Loans, correct.
Similar to on the water side, we have the drinking water
Yeah.
SRF program, where they also give us some grant money as part of that. Rob's saying on the construction side, on the sewer side, there's chances are there's not really any grant money, but you could be eligible for loan money.
So right now, shouldn't we be looking at like a number for the investigation and design rather than, I mean, we have to associate a number with it rather than we shouldn't come up with the 510,000, I
No,
think.
No,
it's
I-
439.
510, but I
Right.
think what Bob's doing is
what?
laying out to
Comes
do
out to 439.
improvements to this part of the
Calculated it out.
system. That's a likely.
Yeah, it's 127.5.
Yeah, and then of that, 55%, okay.
Yeah.
But for us
So
to
you subtract
proceed,
that from the 510, it's
we need
436,000.
a dollar amount not to exceed or something like that.
439,000.
I mean, you said you're gonna come back in a couple weeks with,
Yeah, I think we can come back in a couple of weeks with the estimate on the evaluation portion of it.
yeah, evaluation and design
It-
and.
it would be a full-blown
Or
design.
just, or find out what's wrong first, and then you need
Right,
to
exactly.
design it.
Exactly.
Now,
Right.
now these flows, they went from 16 to 2017. Did you take it from the meter flows or actually what we're flowing?
Yes, where I took them off all the daily reads, I put all of them together.
Now, this flow over in Payne Road where it showed originally, it's 2017, was 590,000 gallons. And then when that, in 2017, we're down to 323,000. Is that the pump station on Payne Road?
No, that's the metering station on Payne Road at the intersection of Route 6, which
Takes
we can
6?
only go by what that meter.
Is that coming down from Route 6 too?
That's everything from Route
From
6.
6
goes
and also
through that.
Payne Road, so it's not only Payne Road, but it is Route 6.
Yeah, it's actually all of Stony Hill with the exception of Berkshire goes through.
Right, okay, because that was a little deceiving when I saw it just the Payne Road.
Yeah.
Now,
Payne Road versus Payne Pump Station.
hypothetically, how much sewer capacity you feel with the age of this system will we pick up after spending all this money? With your experience over the years?
Well, I don't have those numbers in my head, but they're in the report. There's an estimate per sub area, how much infiltration, how much inflow. There are rules of thumb, it's a swag.
I understand that, I'm not trying to hold you, but I just want to figure, just spending all this money, what's the capacity are we gonna pick up?
Right, so what we found over different communities, the II study tells you how much inflow.
Right,
When you go to investigate, you'll be able to identify 50 to 60%. You'll find 60, 50, and then when you do the fix, you can potentially remove 50 to 60% of that. So so the estimate would be somewhere about anywhere between 25 and 50 of what is identified from the flow metering, from the II study. And on the infiltration, on the inflow, those are easier to find and less ambiguous. There's a sump pump connect or not.
right, right,
So those, once you identify them, those are 100%.
right.
And there's inflow estimates as well. So the infiltration is less, because say you line a pipe, you find a leak and you line a pipe,
I understand.
you may push the problem somewhere else. You may push the problem up to the laterals, so there's that type of ambiguity, but there is a problem. If we find a problem in the line that's leaking, you should fix it if it's cost effective. It may be a small leak that's not worth fixing, and that's part of the analysis. Some leaks are so small, it's just, we do what's called a transportation treatment analysis. You know, if it costs more to repair it over time than it is for you just to.
Do you find all that infiltration coming from the manholes? Where they have problems with the older manholes, where they have settled, where they kick, and a lot of drainage going down into the pipes?
It's mostly in old clay pipe at offset joints.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And I think the reason you do them, and you'll do this in stages.
right.
Once you do that first year, you can
Mhm.
probably evaluate what were our flows before we did the repairs, what are our flows after we did the repairs. Hey, we saved X amount, seems like we did a good job saving a bunch, go on to the next step. Then at some point, there's probably diminishing returns, and you don't continue on. 'Cause
Right,
It's
I think
not
that-
worth it to try
Well,
to
I
fix.
think that you have to look, you don't look at the total amount, you look at what you can pick up as you go along without doing the total amount. Instead of spending $7 million, X amount of dollars, you may be able to pick up 35%.
Yeah, you wouldn't do the entire
Right.
$7 million. It
Yeah.
wasn't intended to be like a $7
I
million.
understand that, but I'm looking at the total project and what's involved, that's all, and the areas that we're dealing with. Okay.
Yeah, you do the biggest bang for your buck, and at some point, like Tom said, you know, at some point when you investigate, you may not even it's not the whole town that has leaks, it's those first 7 areas, the Payne, the Paul Street service area.
Right.
You may want to, after this, 10 years from now, you may want to continue on and do a condition survey to put your eyes on your collection system. It may not be anything other than, hey, I've looked at it, there's no roots growing, there's no potential time bombs,
So the evaluation portion, that's available to get grants, the
Yes.
55% grant. It may be worth it to just proceed with that once we get further along, because you do want to inspect your manholes, you do want to get out there and see what you got.
Well, I think, just one other question. Every once in a while, we go in these houses to check the meters, right, Kelly, to see the meters work. Wouldn't it behoove us if you're in there to see if there's a sump pump? Just hypothetically, but don't even talk to the owner about police. Visualize that way you can pick them up if you're going in to check the meters, well, say, hey, there's a sump pump here, there's a sump pump there.
My understanding is they have found a few like that, but I mean, I just have to make my guys more aware of it, that's all.
I mean, not to give them extra work, but when you're in there, you'll be able to give you an idea, because you can't go to somebody's house unless you're doing something to check the meter, but if you see a pump, just mark it down.
Yeah.
So at least you got an area where you know they are, or house numbers where they are, right? Without creating a big monster,
It may not be a topic for discussion here, but at some point in the future, you're gonna wanna discuss private inflow sources and how do you handle that, whether their roof drains are tied in, whether they have an area drain in their backyard that's tied in there. Like you mentioned sump pump, you do building inspections for that. That type of planning grant is not, or that type of task is not funded. It's not funded by DEP. They do not fund private investigation, only public. So that's a topic maybe for another day, but we want to start thinking about how do you handle private inflow. That's some communities. It's how do you do it? It's how do you tell somebody to disconnect their cell phone? Unless you have.
Well, it says some rules and regulations. It was from day one when the system was put in that there was supposed to be no roof drains or sump pumps going into the sanitary sewer here.
Right, so if you have the rules and regulations in place, you can tell them this is what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so what do you need, Tom, what do you need for authorization tonight?
I think I was just gonna have discussion, and I would assume that the commission would accept these reports as they get submitted to them. So at this point, I was looking to accept the report.
Okay.
And then I think we can have Bob put together
A
the
proposal.
proposal for the next evaluations, and then determine where we want to go from there.
Okay. Marty, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just had a question, because I want to make sure I understand. I'm not an engineer, so, but from what you said, in regards to the infiltration, I'm looking at your table 3, and when you said typically from past experience, once the repairs are made regarding infiltration, you could have savings of 25 to 50%, give or take, right?
Correct.
Well, I see peak infiltration rate for the first Paul Street, sub-area 9. It says 166,000. All right. What's the next column? Gallons per day, what does that mean?
That's gallons per day per inch diameter mile. That's a way to normalize so you can compare.
Oh, okay.
So it takes the gallons per day leakage, and then it divides it by the length of the pipe in that system and by the diameter of those pipes, so that you can compare apples to apples. It's a way to, because you could have a lot of infiltration, say a big number of 166, but if you have 50,000 miles of pipe in there, that's pretty tight. So it kind of divides it so you can compare them.
So let me ask you again then, I'm gonna go back. So when you gave your calculation, rough calculations of 25 to 50%, you're basing it on the peak infiltration rate, correct?
Right, so those will come down.
Right, that's all. I just wanna make sure I understood that. That's
Okay.
all. Thank you.
All right, then I'll put a motion on the floor that we formally accept Weston and Sampson report entitled Sanitary Sewer System Capital Improvement Plan in
March 2018.
March 2018. And then we'll proceed to the next step and get a proposal. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Thank you very much.
I have a question for Kelly, or maybe Tom might even know now. Are there plans of the existing sewer over the Paul Street? Are there plans of the original installation?
I mean, like blueprints?
What I found was when they converted from treatment plant to back to a pumping station, or to a pumping station, there's very little information, but there's original plans from the sixties when they put the building in there. Is that what you're asking?
Well, it's just the regular.
The collection system?
Yeah, the collection system throughout the streets.
Oh, yeah, no, there's definitely, and they updated what we have.
Okay,
The
all
majority
right.
of the stuff we have, to be honest with you, Rich, is the field notes.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, during the original construction, I mean, we're only talking 1960, we're not talking ancient ago. So, during those field notes, where things mentioned as, this is a wet area, extremely wet, or whatever,
Yeah, like again, if it was put into the field notes, and they were given a copy of the field notes we have, the actual, the inspector's books, and that's where they got a lot of their information from also.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right,
Can I just make one more comment?
yes.
I just, as I was looking at the numbers in the plan that was presented by Mr. Sampson, it dawned on me, I pulled back out the sewer capacity management program. And I don't have it committed to memory, but I think there's a place in there that says we should be revisiting it every couple of years, or the PUC should be, in order to make sure. Well, this was done in April of 2016. I don't know if Tom has had a chance to review it at all, but the numbers are certainly different than the numbers that were in this plan over here. So I think maybe they should be pulled out. I mean, and you've got, as far as Berkshire is concerned, they're done. They have nothing.
Yeah,
all right,
they're over.
except for a couple of lots that were already allocated. That's it.
Right.
So they're already done. But you've got Paul Street, the bank was set up was 200,000 in Payne Road, 125. So, and, but the actual numbers were as of February 2016, and they're, except for Berkshire, Paul Street and Payne Road are different than the other numbers. So I just think that maybe we should take a look-see at it to make sure we don't run into a problem.
Okay. You want to take a look at that?
Well, that's a good point that you bring up, Marty, because, we had talked about someone was gonna go back to the city of Danbury and see if we can combine all those numbers and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to them about that, and I still haven't gotten an
An
answer.
answer.
No.
You
I've
won't
talked to
either.
them multiple times.
That would make it easier if it's just one nut
won't
instead of having to deal with all three.
You won't-
I won't either? All right.
Maybe that's something that we can put on Tom's. New person in town, to
Yeah,
negotiate.
go to
with them.
Danbury and dig through the files and see if you can figure out. Yeah, because I asked them a question some time ago, was this an arbitrary breakdown? Just to kind of estimate where the different,
All of our 3 areas?
of our three
Yeah,
areas?
right.
Or is it restricted by the size of the infrastructure that leads, so are these hard numbers that can't be changed?
And I don't know if those were numbers that Bethel generated years ago when they did the
Right.
intermunicipal agreements.
Right.
Did they
Yeah,
decide,
well, it was probably because they came on in different time frames, so.
like, the 2 million's been out there now for a while,
Yeah.
as far as 2
Right,
million a day?
yeah.
There had to be some mutual agreement because of the fact that they had limitations too.
Yeah.
How much their plant could take. And then in the meantime, they took in Newtown, some in Newtown, and I think there's some other, Brookfield, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the general belief is that the numbers are fungible, that, it's not restricted by infrastructure, that if we needed to take some allocation from this side, put it over to one of the other zones, we can do that, but I couldn't find anybody who knows enough about the infrastructure to confirm that.
let me tell you, we can't even find the agreements here in town, all three of them. That's how old they are.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
We went there to talk to the city of Danbury when they wanted to tie Worcester Street in.
Right.
Okay, when they wanted to tie Payne Road in, and we said to them, how much capacity do you need on Payne Road? And they said, well, we got 5 lots, we really don't know. I said, well, then we have 3 areas split up with amount of gallons per day for each area. Can we change them and switch it around? Yeah, we'll work with you, but we're worrying about Payne Road. And I says, no, we're worrying about switching the gallons around. How much capacity do you need? Well, we really don't know. And I said, well, it's simple. It's industrial property, right? You got 5 lots. Take the worst scenario of gallons per day that you need. I don't care what it is. Give us a figure, okay? And they said, yeah, plus we'll work with you on switching these around. Make a long story short, I was no longer on the committee. Burke negotiated with the city of Danbury.
Paved.
We ended up with the
375.
interconnection on Worcester Street, right? Right, and they got the pump into our force main on Payne Road, and we can get the sewer allocation switched. But they would have done it, because they were working on it at that time. And we had them because they needed the sewer.
Yeah,
And we could have got it, but it just went by no.
all right. I'll see if we can get that fixed. All right, thank you very much. So let's go back to water rules, regulations.
Anything else?
I was just gonna add real quick, in the previous draft, the numbers were different because that April report was, had only up through February, so the numbers were different. There was what's in the final version that you just approved was, or accepted, was that, it was full year data. So that's why the numbers would be different.
Oh, I assume that they would be somewhat different. I'm only concerned with the break mark where all of a sudden we've got to start, or I should say the PUC's got to start reviewing every single application that comes in because the bank has been exceeded.
Right.
So that's the only reason why I brought
Right,
it up.
you can see that for Berkshire, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Went over, so but it's still under the full allocation. So I need to look at what that agreement says. Is it an aggregate or is it?
Separate right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When they did Berkshire, okay, and we were doing the allocation, we asked Steiner to have their engineers take their total land that they had to be developed and how much capacity they needed. And they told us at that time, we don't need any more sewer. And they gave us a letter, we have a letter on file to that effect that we're at our capacity, we don't need any more.
yeah.
Well, a year later, they came back in again, and they wanted additional sewer under the Burke administration.
Mhm.
He was ready to give it to him until he found that letter. He said, wait a minute, you told us you didn't need any more capacity.
Mhm.
And they just pulled out. They didn't ask for any more. They just walked away. Okay, and that's true. There is a letter in file.
All right. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, going back to new business item number 1, water rules and regs. Tom had proposed a couple of relatively minor changes at the last meeting. Have you guys had a chance to go over those? Ready to vote? We didn't provide additional copies, but
I did have a couple of things that I asked Kelly just before the meeting.
oh, okay.
One was, do we have the price list for the different things, which
Yeah.
needs to be established?
Right.
And I don't know how you incorporate that. I know it's a separate document, but how you legitimize that.
The way we would do that is we'd vote on that separately twice. One vote is to approve it at our level, and then second vote would be to refer it to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen has to have a public hearing to reveal them, listen to comments, and then the Board of Selectmen would vote to adopt them, and then it's all done. But as far as the regs go, the copy, we can still approve that tonight.
Yeah, the only other thing is there's a comment in there about using contractors that are approved, or, in my words, somebody else that we know and trust. And I think that needs to be a document as well. That needs to be a sheet of paper that says, if someone comes in and says, who can I use to do this? You slap a sheet of paper down in front of them and says, here's our approved contract.
Oh, like qualified contractors?
Yeah, like I told Kelly, they gotta be licensed contractors. They can't be home improvement contractor. Home improvement is a registration. They're not a plumber, they're nothing, they're just home improvement.
Well, I've got a question. Why would we be in the business of referring anybody?
No, we don't have to.
Yeah.
You know-
Just make sure the
you know what
license
we did?
contract.
We had a punch list. First off, it was before we took over the services to the curb. So we always had a list that the homeowner could go to. Never recommended one person, always told them at least three people in no particular order. And we did have a list when we put that together about 10 years ago. Who would handle emergencies, who could handle service leaks, who could handle main breaks, stuff like that, whether it be private or not private. I'm just going through here, just updating some names as I'm sitting here writing them up, and it's really just upgrading a sheet. And then again, like Pete says, usually a lot of these contractors will send us their license and their insurance once a year for us to put on file. I think that's kind of slowed down getting that information, but we can still do it. I mean, we do have a list, it just hasn't been updated. I said, the one I have is probably 10 years old. And you have everything from contractors minus one that the town has used through bids to do main work and service work. There's other people that I know of, and there's local contractors. You probably got 4 local plumbers that will use Tommy Keene to dig for them, and then they'll do work like that. But the ball has changed a little bit now because we own the curb stop. So we would call on people that we prefer and have them do the work instead of handing a sheet to the customer and say, here, you pick out the one you want. We would not recommend any, yes, we would recommend, but we would never say, you gotta use this one.
We recommend more than one,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
and leave it up to them to make their phone calls and do their due diligence.
And a minimum of 3, but as Pete said with the licensing, now we'll add that to the checklist.
And I think that's more of a courtesy to the customer who, oh, I got a leak, what do? Who can I call? They don't know, so they're gonna ask Kelly because he's in the business, basically, so.
Now, we just had 2 of this past month, service issues, one of them I didn't even know about. People just called their own contractor and had it repaired up on Waterhorse. And again, that was Tommy Kane digging for a plumber to make the repairs. Coover did the one that we had that major leak up at the private condos up here. Coover called in Butterworth and checked. So everybody's using comparable people, but I understand we have a recommendation list. But if it comes to stuff on our side, it would be up to us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I
Well-
can see your point. We shouldn't be in the business of.
Well,
And I think it's only because with our rules change, the rules and regs changing, that's, we would use something, like some people I wouldn't put out in the middle of the street if it was a service leak, but if they were gonna go after a curb stop at the edge of the road, I say, okay. But now, we have
Yeah,
to
we
make
do
that
that,
decision.
right.
Right, and the only recommendation we would be putting out there would be for service leaks or private sections.
Yeah, what I worry about is somebody coming back at us and saying, well, how come you didn't put me on the list? I'm licensed, we're not gonna know anybody. I think we should just let the, this sounds like a cruel thing to say.
No, I agree.
Or just put in it that it has to be a licensed bonded person.
Yeah, we recommend that you find a licensed bonded person. Check with the state, Secretary of the State's website, for a list of licensed vendors in your area. But I think we should leave that out, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a minor change to how it's written.
All right.
Did you have a copy of it in front of you?
Are we still withholding one contractor from working in town?
In the road, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I can't stop them from working after the curb stop, but I definitely won't let them work.
Okay.
Who's that?
Chevrolet.
Oh.
Okay. Well, so, do you want to vote on this with amendments tonight, or you want to just see another, an amended copy?
Vote on.
What's that?
Amended copy.
Amended
Yeah,
copy?
do the amended copy, then it's all on the up.
Okay, all right.
Now, can I just ask one thing? That price list, I'm pretty sure that was completed, but we didn't want to put it in the rules and regs. We just wanted that posted, basically.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
we want to reference
Right.
it in the regs. but we don't
Reference it
want
in the regs, but it's
Just so
posted.
we're on the same page, so I know you're-
Right. Okay, so we'll table that to the next meeting and just, have a final version to vote on.
Referencing a price list and referencing a list of contractors.
Well, not referencing a list of
No, no,
contractors.
no.
Yeah, taking that part out.
Okay.
Just putting in the stipulation that we recommend that you find a licensed bonded contractor, and maybe even, you could even put in the link to the Secretary of the State's website where you can find people who are licensed in the state.
Or is approved by Kelly?
Oh, it's approved by Kelly?
Yeah.
All right, moving on then to item number 3, communications. Tom?
Okay, I was looking at some of the projects that we've gotten funding for from the health department. Of course, we're into the middle now of the Briarcliff pump station. We're also in the middle of doing the water main replacements. One of the ones I looked at was our SCADA project, which is basically our automated collection of our data and our flows, our pressures, our levels, and getting that tied into a central communication system. So we've gotten at least the water, one half of that project's construction approved by the health department. Before we get to construction, we've got to do the design, and really on the SCADA, before we do a design, we've got to do a communication study. And the communication study would basically try to determine the communication technology that's gonna work best for us, be it radio or be it cellular. So to keep that project, or to get that project going and getting some movement on it, I was going to recommend to PUC to authorize Wright Pierce to conduct the communication study and field measurement project in their amount of $37,400. The proposal that they gave me is what has been handed out. So it was dated March 9th, and that outlines basically what they're gonna do.
Okay. And remind me, what's the acronym stand for?
Supervisory control and data acquisition.
Okay. All right. So we have a proposal to fund the study to the first phase of this in the amount of $37,400. Anybody like to put a motion on the floor?
Second for discussion.
All right, then I'll put the motion on the floor, and you just second
Oh, I
it.
thought you did.
Close enough.
It seems like we talked about this for a long time and nothing's been done on it?
Well,
No?
go ahead, Pete.
Didn't we buy,
You probably talked about it in terms of getting that application to the state health department to get approval on the construction.
It's something we've been. Let me ask this question of Kelly. Help me here. On some of the pump stations, we put in communications already, didn't we? Because I remember
We did some communications, and the problem is the PD, we can't put any faith in the PD whatsoever. So we've through Doug, we met with United for them to see what they could do to monitor our systems, like they monitor our burglar alarms, our fire alarms, et cetera. And they're slowly changing things over, like Fall Street, it's up and running and sending us alarms. For the longest time, the PD, you couldn't count on them getting alarms to us. I would go in the PD and find the computer off, I'd find the screen turned off, unless it bothered their eyes at night while they were sleeping or something, I don't know. But we had a lot of issues there. So we met with Don Taylor from United, and he kind of set us up with a program. So there's a few that we're doing right along with our fire alarms and our burglar alarm.
and didn't we buy a computer too? Didn't we
Yeah,
have
we
that?
did.
That's still down there?
It's down there.
And that's, it's not working?
Right, they have no room for it.
Conserving energy.
It's terrible, because what I wanted to see was if there was a way that we could tap into that computer to send the signal to United, because they're 24/7, and believe me, they're on the ball when it comes to sending alarms. They're almost annoying the way they send alarms, and that's burglar, fire, entry, supervisory. So now when we get our high and low signals, or what have you, or a generator running, now it's working through that system.
Well, they're gonna be vacating that building soon, so we need a place for that computer that belongs to us, right?
It belongs to us, right? We'll take the whole unit right out of there and put it here. Actually, I can take the unit out of it right now.
It's ridiculous.
They're terrible.
I know it.
The dispatchers, it's not a priority.
Okay, so by moving forward with this system, what this gives us is the ability to monitor the entire system as well as make adjustments remotely, correct? Okay, so,
Water and wastewater, so 38,000 covers both the water and wastewater facilities, so.
okay,
Half of the initial fee has to come from the water.
Okay.
From the budget, half from the wastewater. But what we'll give you, instant access to all the information, right now we're getting just the alarms. So, your alarm, it might be delayed, but he can actually monitor, the wet well levels, the tank level from home. They could be able to get an alarm, okay, well, do I need to come out?
Yeah.
Maybe check it out what's going on. Maybe I need to send a guy out there because it's maybe, a bird,
So
something
this-
that's not critical.
so this could reduce labor and overtime costs in the future too, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And
When you put this system in, is there a annual ongoing cost?
Well, there's probably a cost related to the radio frequency charges for your radio line, but it's probably gonna be not as expensive as, maybe going through United. I mean, there's a cost that, be part of that study, but it's not, a lot of water utilities have their cost is really just for the radio frequency. You pay like, serial bill,
Okay, so you're not paying some annual
No.
software
No,
service?
you
to-
own it. No, you own it. We're basically buying everything off the shelf.
And when they upgrade it,
Excuse me?
when the software company upgrades
Yeah,
the
yeah,
software?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No, there would be some maintenance charges going
Of course.
forward. You need an integrator, or you need someone with the expertise.
But who's gonna
Well, I
monitor?
know, I see them anywhere from a couple of $1,000 a year
These
to
guys, I guess.
$80,000 a year.
Let me ask
Who-
this question. Who's gonna monitor this now, at the end of it?
Well, that's something we talked with Tom and.
Yeah, that would be something that we decide as we go forward. I think now we have a minimal amount of alarms that are actually going out through United.
Yes.
And then they let you know there's a power failure, or there's a low level, or whatever the case may be. We'll have to decide going forward, how do we wanna do this? Right now, we don't have like an on-call employee who is then taking home a laptop that has all this, at his fingertips.
Yeah.
And he's in charge of getting those alarms on the weekend. Right now, they're kinda going through Kelly.
I was gonna say, so if dispatch did turn on the computer and there was an alarm, they would call
Call
you?
me immediately. They
Okay.
call me immediately. If they can't get in touch with me, they have two numbers to contact me. They did. Bobby Dibble would be, whoever, Ed Knapp would be number two. And then if they couldn't get anybody from our utility department, then they kick to Bob Dibble.
Why can't you have the alarm company monitor the whole thing?
That's what we're leaning toward.
That'd be the best way, then you have to pay, just you.
You could, and they would report to you, that there's an alarm of some sort.
But they can give you a monthly report, they can give you a quarterly report.
They can, but the power of the SCADA too can be, you can make changes right remotely from home.
Oh, I understand, I understand. but
You can turn a pump on, you can turn a pump off without having to actually get out there. And in an emergency, that can save you a lot of time.
As much as I don't like having to be glued to this phone, since Waitsville went on, working a lot of glitches out with the alarms, don't get me wrong, and actually we've gotten real close with it. But I would get called every 5 minutes until I answered this. If they would, and the way it was set up, it would call me for 5 minutes. If I don't answer within a certain amount of time, then it would call Ed now. But basically, I can read everything from tank levels on this. Like I say, as much as I was totally against this, what a difference it makes having this. Everything from water on the floor down at the Hoytsville station. I get entry alarms, reset alarms, generator running, generator not running, AC failure. Even the controls, the computer controls, I'll get a message if it's on battery or low battery. It's quite involved, and this is definitely moved us into the 21st century.
It makes more sense to have the alarm company do it right now, and set it up, and because you got so much going on, you got water main replacement, a lot of things going on. It costs a lot of money, so let them monitor it.
The person monitoring then
Right.
can have a list of phone numbers to call, and then you can get on the system and, you can look at trends. You can see, hey, the tank level started dropping like a stone, all right? Well, there's a main break somewhere because
Right.
all the water's draining out of the tank. So you can kind of get clued into what I'm gonna deal with when I get into
Right.
town, as opposed to just getting an alarm and having to show up and figure that out.
well, we come
You're
along,
planning from the get-go. When the alarm comes in, you already got a plan. You can go in. like you say, if the tank's dropping, you know something else is going. And then you'll see, you can see your pressures when the service pumps are running, you know when the fire pumps are going on. And that's just what I'm talking about. We're not even talking about any of the other. Definitely a good thing.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely a good thing, but I'm just curious, what's the cost?
Yeah.
The initial
Well-
cost for SCADA, which we don't know yet, and what's the annual ongoing cost?
Yeah, the communications maybe radio doesn't work out, and maybe it's gotta be cellular.
Yeah, it might be a cell
So maybe
band.
there's a
So
Verizon
you gotta
bill.
do the.
Right, but there's a cost to buy the software, the SCADA software.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a
What's
cost
that
for the
cost?
software, for the hardware, that would probably be all part of the construction.
Right.
You know, when they do this communication study, now they're in a position to design the system, they know what kind of equipment they're gonna need, whether it's cellular modems or radio.
Well, that's fine for the hardware, but what's the software cost and the annual cost to keep that software?
All right, the initial software costs, again, would be probably part of the construction project, but then, you're right, there may be an upgrade every X number of years, you gotta upgrade the software, yes.
So
You guys
the-
put them in all the time, how much do they cost?
I'm
Give me a
not,
ballpark.
I'm not an instrumentation engineer, so I don't know, I have to get back to you on that, so.
But your study would
Right.
give you some estimates about that, right?
Absolutely, yeah, we'll give you the full cost, construction cost alternatives, you know, we're gonna look at it, you know, which way is the cheapest way, the best way for the town to go, so that's what the study's gonna address.
From my experience in Norwalk, the software that went in, it was called iFix, that didn't get upgraded all that frequently. But occasionally, there would be a component that failed. So I'd have to have our instrumentation tech come in and either reprogram something or change out a power supply or change out a PLC so you have to continue to maintain the components.
Now, are these open systems or
Open
closed?
systems.
How much did iFix cost to purchase, do you remember?
It was years ago. I couldn't tell you right now.
Okay. All right,
Well,
but
maybe I'm
again,
getting ahead of myself.
what's that?
No, but
I'm just getting ahead of myself, that's all.
Yeah.
it's not a standard program, you have to design it for what we're doing.
Yeah.
That-
Well, you have to customize it for your site,
That's
yeah,
what
for
I'm
every
saying.
site, yeah.
There's nothing out there readily available to say, here, it's gonna work.
Well, that's the type of software you use when you're doing this kind of
And
system.
I know that, I
Right.
understand that.
Now, we're upgrading our systems. We have to be in the 21st century. You know, it can't go back to years ago when there was one alarm that went off and they called somebody, so the technology is needed for the type of systems that we're installing today.
And just meeting with Don Taylor and a couple of the other people from United, their forte has become SCADA systems, more than just alarm systems. So
Really?
there's a lot of options out there for us, but that was just before Tommy came on board, we had that meeting with him, and he said that's basically, I think they said they did New Milford. Not comparing apples to apples, but there's a few towns around here that they did the SCADA program.
Yeah, a vendor that did ours back in what year was it? Probably around the year 2000, late 90s, 2000. They were not that big at that point. I think at the time we were in Norwalk, we were their biggest client, which was good for us because then they always kind of had a soft spot for us. They always made sure they took care of us. But they've now expanded and they do a lot of Aquarian systems. They do First District Water, they do Connecticut Water, so there's a lot of vendors out there that do that kind of thing. And it's definitely grown and it's commonplace now.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the Wright Pierce proposal to do the SCADA study at a cost not to exceed $37,400. Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Marius, speaking of Wright Pierce, you're up.
So I'm trying to head out today on all the projects that are going on in town. So the Horseshoe Water Booster Station, so Zanellis is working hard on completing the punch list items, so he's moving forward, he's knocking a few things off the list. Again, the snow doesn't help, that we're gonna have more snow this Wednesday than Sunday, so he's anxious to get out there, The cold temperature is not an issue, it's really the snow cover, because, it's a little bit cold, he can break through the frozen ground, but it's really the snow cover that, he can't do anything on site over there. So he's moving forward, he's, getting it done. Next item, Briarcliff Manor Booster Pump Station, so, Trubelo is really, making a lot of progress out there. They actually installed close to 500 million feet of pipe already. They installed erosion control, They basically stake out all the locations for all the gates, hydrants and everything. Went out today, already working today, snow, no snow, they're out there, pushing it forward. They've completed 3 test pits. We thought we were gonna have some issue on the corridor where the pump station's gonna go because of electrical systems, but all those electrical conduits are very shallow, so there'll be no issues there with the installation of the new pump station. So we don't anticipate any issues. Again, they're getting us the price for that hydrant. We're waiting for that to see if that could be installed, and also valve. So they're getting that. So the water main replacement design, the design is underway. We're gonna be scheduled pretty soon a meeting with Tom and Kelly to review the final design drawings on that, and that could be submitted to the state for moving forward on that project. Additional groundwater supplies, Bergstrom Field explosive work. So we submitted the report to the DEP this morning. Tom received a copy. So we'll be scheduling a quick meeting with the DEP, probably in the next week or two, to basically for them to blast the report and move forward with the field work, to start drilling the well. So that's moving forward as well. Chestnut Ridge water tank, I think Tom already talked about it today. So we actually went out there today and we staked out the tank location. We actually flagged it with tape. So when Tom's gonna have a meeting with the property owner, we actually show him where the tank is gonna go. So we have a pretty good idea when it's gonna go. It's staked out, so it's very easy to see. It's really not gonna be, the tank is far back, so the people from Briar Cliff, they probably won't be able to see much of the tank. So it's not gonna be an issue. It's more of the one gentleman on Long Meadow Lane that has a shed. He's gonna have a more view of the tank. But, again, we can screen the tank with, landscaping, we can bury, so it's not gonna be an issue. It's back in the woods, nobody's out there, it's a very quiet area, so shouldn't be any problems.
Yeah, the important property owners are the 2 that own the lot that we want to purchase. They're not gonna really see the tank.
They're gonna see the tank at all.
It's gonna be tucked in behind that ridge.
So,
And that's the middle lot.
That's the middle lot, correct.
that's the middle lot.
Okay.
So then, after we, I guess, finalize the negotiations with the property owners, we have to finalize a report, which we already did last year, but we're waiting. And we're gonna send it to the state, so they know this moving forward, and then we go to the design and hopefully construction, so. So that's the important step, us to get started on that.
Okay. All right.
Just on item number 2, Briar Cliff Manor Booster and Lane 1, how many hydrants are we gonna put up there?
We're putting an extra one at the bottom where the pump station is, and that'll be to jump to, if anything ever happened to the pump station and we had a fire at the top of the hill, we could put fire apparatus on that to boost the system. And also, if we ever had a problem where we needed to put a temporary bypass pump there, we'd be able to do it. You'll have the existing one at Crestview, and then the next one will be, actually, one will be at the end of the main, and we're negotiating right now to have one added right where it comes out of the bypass.
Okay.
The easement, where we're kind of playing around with that, trying to negotiate a price with them, because that would be very helpful to the fire department, because they would have fire protection all the way to the turnaround.
Yeah, you'd have one then kind of at the beginning of Long Meadow where our main's gonna end.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have one halfway to the cul-de-sac.
Right.
We thought it'd be a good idea to put a hydrant in there.
Okay.
But then what we also, ask True Blue to do is really to put the new water main on the side, so when we come, with the new water main for the tank, we're gonna put it in the middle, and that's gonna use the same easement. So that's gonna be, already worked out, make sure we can get water main to the new tank through the same easement to the area. And then when they expose the existing 6-inch line, we're gonna be out to take photos just to see the condition of that 6-inch line, which is gonna be crossing. So we're kind of making plans for the future, make sure there's no issues with it.
All right. Any questions for Marius? All right, thank you very much, appreciate you being here with us.
Sure, yeah, thank you.
Engineering and utility report, supervisor report, Kelly? What else you got?
I have one little small thing. I'm investigating a service leak off of Lindbergh. It's just a wet area. It was never wet before, so we're investigating that. It's not a big leak. It's not even showing up on the charts. But other than that, sewer and water-wise, nothing's going on with the exception of a whole lot of snow. That's it.
All right, great.
Get your truck back.
No, it's on back order. And they won't let me drive it because it's a passenger side seatbelt and it affects the airbags.
All right, and that concludes our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. Those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you very much. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.